Club podcast. I'm your host, Victoria L. Johnson. I'm here with Derrick Austin. He's a poet who's authored Trouble the Water, and he also has another book, Tenderness, coming out in the fall 2021. So excited, super excited to talk to him. Hey, Derrick.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing the best I can. Hanging in there.
Same. Yeah, I think that is all of us. I think we thought it was going to be like left in 2020, and it's like, nope, still hanging in there in 2021.
Right, another year. I can't.
I mean, hopefully it'll only be half the year. Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. But on to like nicer things to think about. What's your first memory of watching Sailor Moon?
So my first memory is, getting ready for elementary school and catching it on the TV as I was having breakfast or, brushing my teeth and all that. And yeah, I think that was my first memory, and I think it was the first time I'd ever seen anime before, but I was really hooked immediately, I guess. Probably because it reminded me of Power Rangers or the X-Men, but super femme and super fabulous. And it was like, oh, like I'm really into this world. But it wasn't until it started airing on Toonami that like I was really like hooked. It was the first time that I could see the episodes in order, because like I would have to catch whatever was on when I was getting ready for school, and like the episodes would be out of order. So there would be like 5 scouts one day and like 2 one the other day, and I'm like, what's going on?
Yeah.
So yeah, it wasn't until like it was airing regularly on Toonami that it was a big thing for me. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so funny. I never thought of it that way because they just play like episodes randomly, and it's like, all right, where's the other 3 scouts? Are they on vacation? Like, what's going on? I could see
Totally.
Yeah, that would be
And
so
it was
confusing.
and it was like also funny because my childhood best friend was also a big Sailor Moon fan, but she had the manga, which I never had. So sometimes I would read her copies of the manga and then get real confused, but also like real intrigued, because it's like the scouts are doing things in the manga that they're not doing here, and like who are these Starlight people, and like what is going on. So it was just like, trying to make sense of all these different canons of Sailor Moon. But that was part of the fun too, was just like making things up and like trying to fill in the blanks of like why, like why there are these magic objects, or, all these other fun plot things.
Yeah, I can imagine that would be even more confusing. I think I watched like the first 2 seasons, and then I watched the movies, and then I was like, wait, were these other scouts? I think Sailor Uranus and like Sailor Neptune came in. I was so confused. I think I had the poster though, so I was like, okay, there are definitely characters here, but I don't know what's going on. And they made it seem like there was like a comeback for them. I was like, but they never were here. What's going on?
Yeah, and it's so funny because it's like there's a Sailor Moon and a Sailor Mercury, etc. So it's like we're just like waiting for the other planets to show up, and it's like it's just one of those weird funny things where it's like the show tried to tease it out as if it was a big surprise that there'd be other planets.
Right, yeah. It's like obviously there's gonna at least, there's gonna be 8 or 9. Yeah. That's funny. Do you have any favorite like episodes or favorite moments of the show?
I think my favorite episode is I think it's called The Death of Uranus and Neptune, the big dramatic one in season 3. It was so epic to me. Because like the whole thing had been teased out the entire season. It's like we're gonna see the talismans, everything's gonna be revealed. And I remember the day that it aired, I missed it because something was happening. Like I must have had like a doctor's appointment or something. And I remember like looking at my watch the entire time, hoping I'd make it back home to watch it. And I missed it that day, but like I eventually caught up to it and saw it and was really hooked. And I rewatched it a few weeks ago, and it's such a funny episode in retrospect, in the sense that you have all the drama and emotion of Michiru and Haruka being like, our mission's almost going to be complete. Like, we're ready to do this no matter what happens. And then, and then you have like Udiel being like the weird comic relief the entire time. So it's like this weird mix of high and low the entire time. Like, I always remember the scene where Udiel's like playing on the piano, but she's not really, and there's just a boombox next to her. Um, but yeah, I think that's one of my favorite episodes and the one I think about a lot.
Yeah, it's definitely a classic episode and so sad. Like I said, ups and downs.
Hmm.
Much like
For
most films.
sure.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, that was a moment. That was quite tragic. And a good twist. Like, I don't know why I didn't see that coming. Maybe because I was a child.
Right?
But...
Me neither.
It was like, it was them all along? They had the pure hearts?
It's like, what? Mind blown. And then like
Yeah.
Sailor Pluto comes back, but nobody acknowledges it.
Right. She's just like, hey guys.
And like nobody's like, don't I know you from somewhere? Nobody says anything. She's
Right.
just like this woman in a business suit, business casual, showing up to save the day.
Businesswoman Pluto. Oh man, that needs to be cosplayed more.
It's an iconic suit. They were serving looks.
They absolutely were. Like, so many casual, or like even, I guess, business casual looks. Like, I want to cosplay, or just wear, actually, just like so many of those outfits on the regular.
Right.
I actually just bought some lilac shorts, denim shorts, and I was like, this is so Sailor Moon. I'm so gonna build an outfit around this.
Oh my god, that's so perfect. Like,
Yeah.
I still sort of want to find like the pink overalls that Raid wore that everybody like loves. Like I just think
Same.
that's an iconic look. And if I could find some pink overalls, I probably would do it.
Same, absolutely the same. I constantly look for those, and one day I'm gonna buy some. We talked about a lot of different scouts, dude, but do you have a favorite?
Sailor Neptune is absolutely my favorite and has been ever since I first saw her. She was just so cool to me and like so fascinating. In the sense that like she's this high femme ideal in a sense where like she's super artsy, she can paint, she plays the violin, she's just super accomplished in basically anything she does. And yet there's a sort of kind of like a ruthless elegance to her, or like a kind of iciness to her that I found so appealing. Like she was sort of prickly in a way that I didn't find with the other scouts. And she just felt like so mature, right? Like I'm watching this as like an 11-year-old, and I'm like, this glamorous woman is everything. Like this is the ideal of, you know, being somebody fabulous and accomplished in the world. And then like, you know, as a as a queer kid, I was obligated to love the animation for Deep Submerge, which is just gorgeous and stunning, and you know, it's perfect. So yeah, and then like the fact that she fights with a mirror, like that is so cool. You know, Haruka has a sword, and then Pluto has a magic staff, but no. Neptune's like, I'm gonna beat y'all now with this magic mirror. You're gonna look at your reflection, you're gonna be shook. But yeah, it's just like a combination of all of that is really the reason why I love Neptune the most.
I love that. I never thought of it that way, where it's like she has the most least weapon, and she's like, yeah, and it's gonna work. Like,
Yep.
and it's still gonna like bring you down. What you gonna do? Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I've always felt the same about Neptune. She's always been like my top 3 Sailor Scout, along with Pluto and Sailor Moon. For a lot of the reasons you just said, like she's just so elegant. I'm just like, I want to be just like her. Like she just seems like the ideal person. like she's just like well rounded. Like she can play the violin. She's like dresses perfectly. Like she's gorgeous. She's smart, and I'm just like, I want all of those things.
And like she had like her girlfriend is everything. Like I love that other than Usagi and Mamo, like they're the only couple that lasts. Like I think that's so cool.
Yeah, I have also loved like I feel like they even have a stronger relationship than Usagi and
Oh,
Mamo.
totally. Yeah.
Yeah. Even I did a poll for Valentine's Day, like which is your favorite couple, and like they won, like hands down, no questions. And I was just like, this makes sense. This makes sense because they're just so great together. That's cool. So let's talk a little bit about you. Now that we know all your Sailor Moon feelings, or most, or some of your Sailor Moon feelings, you are a poet. That is so cool.
Thanks.
Yeah. When did you know you wanted to become a professional poet?
Oh goodness, professional is a lot larger than I think what I'm doing. But I didn't. I mean, I'd always loved writing when I was a kid, and I was always writing stories and things like that. And I thought I would write fiction, but it wasn't until high school, like a lot of people, when I started writing poetry. You know, I had too many feelings, and I wanted a place to express myself, and so I started turning to poetry, and it was great because uh, not only did I love words and using language and thinking about language, but I was still in the closet. I was like a black queer kid growing up in Florida, and the page was a safe space for me to express myself. And I would show some poems to friends, and they were like, "Oh, this is pretty good." And I just had like a really nice support system. And then when it was time for college and figuring out what I wanted to major in, I was like, well, it'll probably be something writing related. So I decided to do creative writing. I wanted to study English and writing in college. And uh, after college, I went to get my MFA. And yeah, now I'm like out here trying to survive and do my best. Um, but yeah, writing started with me when I was a teenager. And the love never left. The love of language never left. And it's just I find poetry to be really important to me in the sense that it's a space where I can slow down and think about language and think about so many things. We live in a world where there's always emails to answer and folks are calling and there's Zoom meetings, but poetry is a space where you have so much time and so much space to really consider what you want to say and consider how you want to say it. And yeah, so that's my origin story with poetry.
I love it. Yeah, I think poetry is always like it's been an outlet for me too. Like growing up when I was younger, like I always loved writing. I feel like there's definitely a connection between like Sailor Moon fans and writing somehow. There's like a lot of writers
Hmm.
amongst us. That's I mean I you say professional feels bigger, but like you have two books, so I'm just gonna throw that out there.
This
So
is true.
this is true. What was the process? So you also have a poem based on Sailor Moon, inspired by Sailor Moon, called Silver Millennium, which I think is like super cool. What was the process for coming up with Silver Millennium?
Well, honestly, I'd always wanted to write a Sailor Moon poem, is really the honest truth, and I was always trying to figure out a way to do it that felt natural to me, and like trying to find a way uh into it. And with this and with Silver Millennium, I think the poem really just came to me thinking about wanting to escape the world in a sense. Like I wrote it in 2017, I think, and you know, the election had just happened the year before. Everything was really just rough and desolate in a way. Uh, and I was just thinking about, Sailor Moon is a fable, as like, here's a princess on the moon who, lives this lovely life far away from all the madness on Earth. And yeah, so then I sort of took that as the foundation of the poem, thinking about Sailor Moon as a myth and thinking about Sailor Moon. Uh, I mean, the show has its roots in the myth. The bunny on the moon is like part of the origin of Sailor Moon itself. So I think that's really how it started and how it came about.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, bunny on the moon, rabbit on the moon. That is, yeah. When you think about it, it's very much like watching it. Feels like learning about mythology,
Hmm.
just because like there's so much like yeah, they used to live on the moon, and then they got reincarnated, and then now they're here to like protect people. Like it really feels like its own thing in a way. Um,
Yeah, and all the cool like Greek mythology things in it, Prince Endymion and all the really fabulous mashups of myths from all over is really another one of the reasons why I love Sailor Moon.
Yeah, someone mentioned that like it's like has like this fantasy like knights element, but also like this Greek mythology thing going on, and it's just a really cool mesh of like a lot of cool things.
Yeah, absolutely.
I noticed you have this line here. It's like a sword, a mirror. Is that a reference to Uranus and Neptune?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. We love the talismans.
Yeah. What's a jewel? Is that
The garnet orb.
Ah, got it. That makes sense. I was just like, a scepter? No. I was like, what would be the jewel? Oh, okay. So you're like an outer senshi stan, I feel like.
Yeah, I really am.
Don't blame you. I love the outer senshi. Like, Sailor Moon, Sailor Pluto, and Neptune are like my top faves.
Yeah,
Um,
they just felt so grown, They felt like they were living actual lives and not like worrying about passing an exam.
yeah, it kind of threw me off later when I figured out that they were in high school too. I was like, they're not like in their 20s? Like,
Right? They got a car and like a helicopter and
yeah, they're like living together and like there's no parents anywhere. Like a lot of the scouts live alone though, actually. Now I think about
hmm
it. But it was still I don't know. I was like so sure that they were adults. Well, yeah. Yeah, they were adults. Like
hmm
20, like mid 20s, maybe early 20s.
because Pluto's like a physicist or something, but I guess she's like a
Right.
grad student. I guess she's like still getting her PhD.
Pluto's just a weird story overall. Like I feel like you can't.
Yeah.
That's just a hard egg to crack. But yeah, it's yeah, because they're like I thought they were the same age, but then like you're right, Pluto's like in grad school when she's reincarnated, and then I don't know. I need a hopefully one day I can speak to the creator and she can explain everything to me if she knows.
Right. And then Hotaru's like 6, but she was a baby, but she was a person, but like she knows everything. So like what like what is
Yeah,
this?
what's going on there? I brought this up before. One of our previous guests, Ryan Lasala, he wrote a fan fiction about Sailor Saturn growing up and figuring out that Uranus and Neptune try to kill her. And it's like when you figure out your surrogate moms tried to like kill you in your previous life.
Oh, that is so real. I'd never thought of that before.
Yeah. I was like, that's hilarious and so true. Like, how awkward is that? Like,
Whoops. Sorry we tried to
yeah,
get you that one time.
yeah. Can you blame us? But definitely not a lot of therapy needed over there. Do you like any other anime?
I do. Like when I was younger and watching Sailor Moon, I watched all the Toonami Old Faithfuls, so Dragon Ball Z and the Gundam series and Tenchi Muyo and Cardcaptor Sakura, all that good stuff. And then uh later on things like Witch Hunter Robin and Yu Yu Hakusho and Inuyasha. And then I sort of fell off from anime for a little bit. But lately I'm really into slice of life anime. Like I really love Given. And I just finished watching Kids on the Slope a few weeks ago, which I am absolutely obsessed with. It's just so beautiful and tender uh and really captivating. So it's funny, like I moved from like these these super action oriented anime to like small, gentle, like sweet, regular everyday things. Um which has been really fun and sweet. And then then I also just love like off the rails kind of bonkers stuff like Kakeguri on Netflix is just one of the funniest things I've ever seen in it's so ludicrous. Like these rich kids in a gambling school and all they do is gamble and make their lives terrible for each other and all they do is they just scream at each other and they're all just like playing poker and it's like if you lose I'll cut your head off. It's like what is this? Um and yeah, like Black Butler is also like really fun and funny to me. But yeah, I'm like a slice of life kind of gal right now. Yuri on Ice I really love. Um but yeah, those are a few of the things that I am really interested in.
Yeah, that I'm becoming more of a I don't know if slice of life is the right word, but definitely like I appreciate small like shorter animes now. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, 12 episodes? Done. Like let's do this. Like I cannot like I feel like when I was younger I'd be like, oh, we're gonna dive in and like watch this like hundreds episodes anime and like I feel like maybe I just had more time and more longer attention span or something, but now I'm just like yeah, I need to get in and get out. Like I need to end to this story.
That part. I'm too busy. Like I can't do like 50 episodes and they're just fighting still. Like I need things to move.
Right. Like I need a conclusion. Like, I need to move on with my life. Like what's happening? That's the reason why I don't know if you've ever watched any Korean dramas, but I really started watching a lot of Korean dramas for that too cuz I'm like beginning, middle, end. Tops there's most like 24 episodes. Like I can do this.
Oh my. Which of those are you watching?
Ooh, I haven't watched one in a little while, but some of my favorites are I love Boys Over Flowers, Coffee Prince. I'm trying to think of ones that are on Netflix right now because they keep like switching them. But yeah, they're very just like beginning, middle, end, and there's like a bunch of different genres. Like I really like the action ones. I like the um romance comedy ones. I guess that's mostly it. I don't really watch a lot of the historical ones,
Mm-hmm.
but they're really good. And it's like, I just love it because a lot of them are like 16 to 24 episodes and you're just in and out. And I'm like, this was an emotional journey and I'm happy now. Although it's still kind of hard because each episode's still like an hour, like a full hour, no commercials. So that gets a
Mm.
bit difficult because it's just a really long time to like hold my attention. It's bad, especially if you want to like binge it. So I've been
Yeah.
trying to do more like watching them as they come out because they come out like 2 episodes a week. And there's one out now. I forgot what it's called, but I've been meaning to watch it because one of my favorite actors is in it. I'll try and see if I can remember it later. But yeah, I think Song Yu is his name. But yeah, those are good too. And so there's a lot of oh, I think it's Vincenzo. Yeah, Vincenzo.
Sweet.
Yeah.
I'll have to check these out. I need something to watch.
Yeah, they're all on net. There's so many on Netflix now. Like it feels like doing the whole anime thing again. Like before you'd have to like go on some like weird random site to watch
Mm-hmm.
anime, and before it was like that with K dramas, and now like animes on like Crunchyroll and Netflix, and K dramas are on Netflix, and they have their own platforms, and it's so funny, but I love it because I'm like, yes, accessibility. I don't have to like go to some random site and worry about viruses and all these other things. But yeah, I hope you can check it out. I hope you like it. A lot of them are based on anime too. So like Boys Over Flowers is based on an anime called a Hari Yori Dango.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that happens a lot too. So it's definitely like some symmetry there. Yeah, but fun stuff. So that's cool. Yeah, I think yeah, anime is. You have a good list. Yeah, I haven't watched Giving yet, but I heard it's good, and I hadn't watched the other one you mentioned. I forgot what it was. I haven't heard of the one you ever mentioned.
Oh, Kids on the Slope.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's apparently I think it's by the same creator who made Cowboy Bebop.
Ooh.
Uh, right? And I think it's like a few years old. I just like happened upon it on Crunchyroll because I heard it was like sort of queer, so I was like, "Ooh, let me check it out," and I fell in love.
Nice. Yeah, no, I love Cowboy Bebop. I'm surprised I never heard of that because that sounds like my jam. 12 episodes? Yeah, I'm doing this
Oh
today,
yes, it's
probably.
brief and yes.
I love it. Yeah, I just looked it up now and I was like, what? Oh, this is so cool. I love it. Yeah, I feel like that creator, like, he's just like, he does not miss.
Nope.
Yeah. Like, I don't know if you saw Carol and Tuesday. That was another good one.
Oh, I love Carol and Tuesday.
Yeah. I was just like, man, another one. That was really good. I really loved it. It was so cute.
Yeah, and
And
the
also short.
soundtrack,
Oh my god.
bops.
Bops on bops on bops. Like,
Truly, justice for GGK forever.
facts. Yeah, I was like, she should have won. This dancing dude. It was cute that they like teamed up though. Like they had like a little duo, and I was like, I would have never put you two together, but somehow this works.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were cute. But yeah, I love how it had like a kind of a larger story about like immigration and stuff too. Like I was not expecting that going into that show.
Yeah, it was super moving. I thought it was just gonna be some cute musical song moments, and it's like, oh, this is political now. Okay.
Yeah, I was like, whoa, y'all went there. I was like, this is cool because I was not expecting that. I would have been happy with just like music.
Yeah.
It's like political statements. Oh, but yeah, super cute. But yeah, so yeah, I definitely got to check out. I gotta go back. Kids on the Slope because yeah, I love everything he does, and I'm probably gonna love that too. Oh man, do you have anime merch?
Do I have anime merch? I have a Sailor Moon T-shirt.
Ooh.
I'm trying to think of anything. I had a Tenchi Muyo T-shirt that I wore out, that my brother gave me for a birthday a few years ago.
Love
Um,
it.
uh, but I can't think of anything else really. It's mainly like I'm like a T-shirt guy, so like a lot of anime T-shirts I have owned and fun stuff like that. But I didn't really have any other kinds of merch off the top of my head.
No, t-shirts are good. I feel like one thing I've been trying to do more recently is like to get like merch that also has a function, so it's not just like things.
Yeah.
So like shirts are always really good because it's like, oh, I can also wear this. Like this is clothing,
Mm-hmm.
rather than just like not to knock anyone, but like a figure. Where I'm like, what do I do with this? And then like I've been decorating my bookshelves, and that's like helpful. But yeah,
For
I only
sure.
have so much space. Yeah, that's cool. Which Sailor Moon shirt do you have?
Oh, it's a picture of Sailor Moon in like the iconic pose where she has like the crescent moon wand over her head, and there's like a crescent moon behind her too.
Ooh,
Yeah.
nice. Was that a hot topic?
Oh my goodness, where did I get that shirt from? Actually, you know what? A friend of mine got it for me for Christmas, so I don't know where she
Ooh,
got it from, but
man!
probably somewhere online.
Shout out to your friend and your brother for getting you like awesome anime shirts.
Truly.
Yeah. I meant to bring it up earlier that I love that you keep bringing up Tenchi Muyo because I also used to watch that during the Toonami blog, and I feel like every time I
Hmm.
bring like no one else was watching it, so I'm really happy at least you were also watching it. Like I know people are watching it,
Yeah.
but people don't talk about it enough.
And it's so fun. It's like it was it's sort of like, the concept of like having all these women like chasing after a dude is sort of silly, but I think it has like a lot of the same charms as Sailor Moon in the sense that it's like this large cast of like fantastic, fascinating, fabulous women and like some hapless dude who shows up. Um but yeah, I miss them. It's a fun show and I haven't rewatched it in a minute. I should try and find it.
Yeah, I haven't either. I think I tried to rewatch it one time and then I realized like there's like a lot of spin-offs and I was like, I don't know where to start. This is overwhelming. I'm gonna like push this back for another few
Yeah,
years.
I forgot they did that too, because like every series is sort of a reboot, and so like you never knew what you were gonna get. Like I remember liking the first two, and then there's like one series where like Tenchi moves out, and like it gets weird. I don't know. The last whatever season that was, I didn't care for, but the first two are fun.
Yeah, I think I felt the same way because I remember maybe it was like Tenchi Universe or something, and I was just like, "What's going on? This is weird." But yeah, it was a good show. I remember enjoying it. I haven't rewatched it in a while either, but I remember liking it. I hope I'll still like it in the rewatch. And so back to you being a poet, what advice would you have for someone who either wants to write their or have their own poetry published in a book, or to become a professional poet?
Um, Advice for poets, advice for folks who want to be poets. Uh, I would say, here's the thing I would say first and foremost is that publishing can be a bit of uh, a weird, Byzantine kind of thing. It can feel really intimidating to try and make your way into it. Um, and so I think a lot of people get discouraged in that capacity. But I'll say this, and that's if you are passionate about language and if you're passionate about reading, and not just reading poetry, but like reading anything you can get your hands on. Like if writing is like really like the engine that drives you and you find so much joy in it, keep and preserve that joy. Um, because that's really like the heart of being a poet, not to sound really cheesy in this moment, but it's all about loving language and loving words. And the thing is that you don't necessarily have to get your work published. There are like guides to look up that can show you like how to submit to literary magazines or how to send to presses. But I think um, a more important part of being a writer is figuring out what kind of writer you want to be and how what kind of work you want to do and how you want your work to move in the world, because you don't necessarily have to go get your MFA and go to grad school to be a poet. You don't necessarily have um, to get published by a huge press. A lot of us aren't published by like huge presses in New York City. Um, but knowing how you want your poems to move in the world and how you want to move as a poet is so important. Um, because there will be a lot of rejection and there will be uh, a lot of trying to figure out one's way through publishing, which can be really difficult if you're a writer of color or queer, because like a lot of industries, publishing still has a lot of work to do. Um, but some more advice I would say is like read everything you can get your hands on. Read contemporary poetry, read the classics, read fashion magazines, read everything. Find a community if you can find other poets who are interested in similar things than you, like find a writing group. uh Create that space for you that is holistic and encouraging and challenging in a good way, like challenging you to be a sharper reader, challenging you to be uh a more ambitious writer. Um and make use of the internet. There's so many of us writers on social media, and we're always, retweeting information about contests and journals and publishing and all that kind of good stuff. It can feel really intimidating and it can feel like a lot, but if you know how you want to move in the world as a poet, and if you have a community that supports you and nourishes you and encourages you, uh, the journey of like looking up the practical stuff of how to send out to lit mags and how to get one's book published is pretty easy. But the important stuff is like the soul nourishing stuff, the stuff that feeds you and fuels you as an artist. Yeah, I think that's what I would say.
That is beautiful. And I completely agree. I think so many creatives especially forget that like you really need to take a break to fuel your creativity, not just because you need to take a break for your body, but even to like get ideas and like, do things that will create your work or be inspired and to inspire your work. So that makes all the sense. And community is so important.
Totally. It's not like poets are out here making money off this stuff. So you've really got to find the thing that feeds you, because it's not going to be coins.
Oh man, harsh realities.
It's hard being an artist.
Yeah, it really is.
Some things never change. I
Right.
can't.
We laugh to keep from crying.
Yep.
Well, I hope you get all the coins you deserve, because you deserve.
Thanks.
Yeah. So, just like Sailor Moon had, Sailor Moon says phrase at the end of every episode. What would your phrase be? So, Sailor Derrick says.
Oh gosh. Sailor Derrick. I can't. What does Sailor Derrick say?
Yeah.
You know, Sailor Derrick says support artists. And says there are so many ways to do that. You know, it doesn't necessarily mean having to buy a book or pre-ordering a book, though that helps. But you know, some of the simplest ways to support writers is just sending like a note. You know, one of the things that I did last summer through quarantine is I just started sending um, notes to writers whose books that I loved. You know, folks I'd never met, folks who I'd never worked with before. Um, but just to be like, hey, I read your book or I read your poem and like it made me feel such and such a way. And, you know, thank you. Because, you know, being an artist of any kind, but especially a writer, is a weird and lonely thing. And like we often don't know how our things move in the world unless you say it. So, like, you know, just doing a simple thing like writing a note is like really encouraging and really helpful. You know, things like supporting your local libraries and requesting books, you know, so that a book is a community good. Um, and, you know, just, you know, sharing our work and, you know, that kind of thing. Because over this entire year, I've just been thinking about how the arts have really kept a lot of people buoyed during this rough year. You know, I know for me that like I've been watching entirely too many TV shows and entirely too many movies, uh, or like listening to albums, and like the arts have been some of the things that kept us sane through this really long year. And so I'm just feeling grateful in my spirit for the folks who are making magic happen, you know, on our TV screens and the books that we read, uh, everywhere. You know, creativity is keeping this thing afloat. You know, so Sailor Derrick says support your artists and show some love on some artists, and don't be afraid to be creative yourself.
I love that so much because it's so true. Like, I don't know where I'd be over this past year without like all the TV shows and movies and music that I've listened to and books that I've picked up. So, yeah, definitely support the artists, guys. I love that too. Like, because some people like don't have the money, but you know there are libraries and sending a note. I love that. It's something I definitely need to do more. Is sending notes to people who are like, I appreciate this thing you did and thank you for doing it. It's so cute. And then what is next for you and where can people find you?
Oh goodness, what's next for me? My second book, Tenderness, is coming out in the fall of this year, so keep a lookout for that. And if you want to keep abreast of me, I'm on social media at Paradise Lost, and that's ParadisLaust on Twitter and Instagram, and that's where I'm usually hanging out, sharing Drag Race memes and being silly and talking about paintings and and fancy movies. So yeah, that's where folks can find me.
Sounds like a fun time. Yeah, and once again, I am Victoria L. Johnson, host of the Sailor Moon Fan Club podcast. You can find me at Miss Old School. It's Old School with a K on Twitter and Instagram. And you can find the podcast at Moonies Club on Twitter and Moonies_Club on Instagram. And we're on pretty much every streaming platform if you want to listen to us. You're probably listening to us now, though, so you know that. And we also have merch at mooniesclub.com. So if you want some Sailor Moon inspired merch, you can head over there to mooniesclub.com. And thanks so much again, Derrick, for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me. It's been so fun to like talk about Sailor Moon and like talk about things that aren't just writing. So I really appreciate it. This has been fun.
Yeah, that's the goal. And definitely check out his book, Trouble the Water, which is also available at the library and available where you can buy books.